Welcome to Pathways to Greatness, where we explore the journeys of exceptional individuals who have achieved remarkable success in their fields. Whether you're an aspiring athlete, a business leader, or simply someone striving to reach your full potential, this podcast is your guide to unlocking the greatness within you. Join us as we dive into inspiring stories, practical strategies, and the mindset shifts that can transform your path to greatness. Let's embark on this journey together. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Pathways to Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Forrester, and today's show has been one that I've been waiting for a very, very long time. And Coach Q is extremely busy. And so it's taken years to actually figure out a way that both of our schedules would work to have this. So on today's episode, I have Coach Fred Quartlebaum, and he is an outstanding man. And we'll get into it a little bit of how long we've known one another, but it was just through COVID and getting a group of positive people together, and then just the friendship and the brotherhood that we've been able to maintain over the 5 years or so has been fantastic. His resume is long. He's with Kansas basketball. He's won national championships. He's done numbers of things, but ultimately he's impacted my life, and he's impacted the other guys in the Positivity Tribe, along with all the athletes that he's worked with. And he shares a lot. I wasn't sure what we were going to get into in this episode because I know he just has so much wealth of knowledge and wisdom. And we went towards culture. And I really, really enjoyed this lesson on culture. And he knows it because he's learned it, as he says, from Coach Bill Self, who has created such an amazing atmosphere and culture at Kansas basketball. And it's something that you can do in your household and what you can do within your own community, your group of friends, all of those different things. And so he lays it out in a very simple way that you'll be able to easily understand, and most importantly, put it into play as soon as this episode is over. So please share this, like this, because it's one that more people need to hear. Get the word out about Q. Follow him on Instagram. His messages are great. His heart is sincere. And ladies and gentlemen, Fred Quartlebaum. All right, this has been a long time coming. You have been on my list since day one, and now you've actually got some time to be able to spend. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Coach Q, Fred Quartlebaum on here, and I'm Jeff, and this is the Pathways to Greatness. You can see how excited I am. What's up, Q?
Hey, Jeff, I am excited, thrilled, and actually truly honored to be a part of today's podcast. I know we've been trying to get this connection for quite a bit, and now we both have some time to kind of just dive into some things that we're just so passionate about, and that's the uplifting of others in this space. And I'm just excited to not only share, but also have an opportunity to learn as we continue to dialogue throughout this podcast. So thanks for having me, my man.
Oh, you're very welcome. So audience, I'll give you a little background before we jump into the fun parts of the show, is that Q and I met back in probably 2020. So right in the throes of the big C word, we were all coming together, and there was a group of us that wanted to just start a fun community and connect. And everybody was, new to the Zoom scene. And so we hopped on, and I think it started with 40 or 50 guys. We got on, and we were having the Positivity Tribe, where we would come on, and in a dark time in a lot of people's lives, we were just wanting to bring hope and positive uplifting. And so through a mutual friend, Christopher Worth, in comes Q, and immediately had a massive impact on the group. And we've been friends ever since. We've been able to see each other once or twice in person. I know once.
It was one time, once.
Yeah,
yes.
But it's like, because I've never met Wilbur in person. So it's like all these people that we've been friends with for almost, 5 years solid, that feel like a brother.
No question about it. It's just been you called it the Positivity Tribe. And it started out, as you mentioned, 40 people. We're probably down to about somewhere in that 6 to 7 range. And like you said, we all have not had a chance to physically be in each other's presence, but just through our continued relationship through social media, through phone calls, weekly text messaging, things, daily text message. At some point, I think it has definitely brought our positivity tribe together in so many more meaningful ways. And I'm just so blessed that Chris Worth was able to start this tribe, and it just continues to get stronger and stronger each and every week.
Yeah, man. Well, before we get into hearing your wisdom and learning a little bit more of what you want to share with the audience, as you know, I always like to play a game called Would You Rather. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Would you rather go forward 100 years or go back 100 years?
Great question. I think I would want to go backwards 400 years.
Okay. Why so?
I think the growth that has been a part of my journey has been so remarkable that you always say, gosh, if I can go back in this point in time and what I know now to be able to be just more engaged or just more educated in so many different areas, because you look back and go, gosh, what a mistake. Gosh, why did I do that? What was I thinking? So to have some of that knowledge now to go back and just maybe be a little bit more, better in those spaces, even though, you learn from those mistakes or those trials and errors as you move forward. But I would love to go back and just kind of see how my life would have been shaped with the knowledge that I have right now.
Now, do you think let's use kind of like the Back to the Future visual of it, is if you go back, do you feel like if the college Q or the high school Q would have listened to the 2025 Q?
I think knowing my personality and knowing that, every day I strive to just be a little bit better. And I understand how that happens over time. So going back, I think the younger Q would have been a little bit more, would have poured in a little bit more, would have leaned in a little bit more, just because of my makeup of that mindset of just want to get a tiny bit better. So I think I would have taken some of those lessons that were shared with me and applied it a little bit better than I did when I was 25 years old.
Sure. And we all hope that we would listen to ourselves. And I know that's a struggle as a parent, because that's what I'm trying to do. Because I see my son and daughter, I'm like, I'm trying to help instill this stuff that I messed up on so you don't have the same issues, and they just don't want to listen.
Well, I will share this with you. I find this to be so helpful. Jeff, is, same message, different voices. So I'm comfortable. I've always been good in this area where I may have somewhat expertise in a particular career. Let's use basketball. Both of my kids wanted to play Division I and do all those things. But you find strange that, sometimes they don't listen to what you're saying. You're at the highest level. You've coached at the highest level. But there could be a guy down the street that's sharing the same message, but maybe their voice, how they present it, may actually be more, they'll pour in a little bit more, if you will, and just being accepting of that, even though they are hearing you at that time, but maybe not as listening, but just somebody down the street may be saying the same thing. But I will share this with you. Over time, they do appreciate and they do respect the lessons that you did tell them, or that moment, because we've had those moments where we talk and go, no, Dad, you just say it over and over and over and over again. But he just told me twice. So I kind of poured in and leaned a little bit more jokingly. So it does resonate with them. Sometimes you just don't see the benefits at that time. So you just stay with it. Okay.
Yeah. And I like what you said, and I hope the audience didn't gloss over when you said the word accept, is that it's okay if they learn a good life lesson from someone else. It's not anything personal. And so I really, when you said accept, that resonated, because I try to tell parents is that don't go say, well, I've been telling you that for the last 10 years and you didn't listen. Why did you listen to him? Just say, awesome. What else did he tell you? What else did you learn? Like, just keep reinforcing it. They're learning it, and that's what matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you are on the right path.
So when you look back, and the thought that I had was, is there a life philosophy or lesson that you would have really honed in on that younger Q that you wanted to, now that you're over 50, you see that, oh, if I would have just applied this philosophy to life at 25, what could I have really accomplished?
I think times when we're trying to strive for whatever outcome, whatever goal, whatever that result is, and I always say there's a vision, and then there's a goal, right? There's always a beginning and an end, but really it's that middle ground, that space where the grit, the grind, the sacrifice really allows to shape you in the process as you're striving for that particular outcome. And if I'd go back, I would have loved to maybe hone in a little bit more of the details, the small things. We always want to hit. I use the term, we always want to get to that end line, and sometimes we think we have to swing for the fences, right? Or we got to hit the golf ball 400 feet. But really, in that middle ground, it's the minor details. It's the incremental steps, if you will, use that really allows that true growth to happen. I think sometimes, me particularly, you want to skip those steps. You want to get right to the end. And when we stay focused on the process and stay focused on the present and don't worry about the finish line, I think you gain more through that process, and you become even better equipped. And I think there were a lot of times that, and I'm sure we all do, but in my case, I think I skipped steps. And as I've gotten older, I understand that to get where you really want to go, it's really the small wins, the day-to-day, the little details that allow it to happen.
That's so good. And when you were saying that, I'm in that place where I need to focus on the small things, because we look so much, like you said, at the big things, and you can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing, is that you don't realize the little things add up. And those are the easy things to do that don't take talent. It's the show up. It's the time management. It's the, like in basketball, you don't have to be able to shoot the ball to end up being good. I mean, you do eventually, because that's the end goal, but it's the, just showing up, listening, paying attention. None of those require talent. It just requires focus and discipline. And if we can all do that, the big things will add up. It's like you said, it's the process. If you focus on those things, that the outcome will always show up at some point eventually, if you have patience.
Yeah, patience is such a great word, because I'm sure today as well, we want it yesterday, we want it right now. And if we can focus on right now being the step to tomorrow's step, to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, and when you add all those steps or those little things over time, it manufactures that outcome or that result. Brian Kite talks about, the E plus R equals your outcome. And it's that event that takes place and how you respond to it. And if you respond in a meticulous way and having a plan, your outcome is going to be in your favor.
Yep, for sure. Okay. This is why I don't have an agenda. These questions just go and we just dive in
I
them.
love it. I
So
love
the
it.
second one is, so would you rather always know the right answer or always make the right decision?
I would choose the latter. Always make the right decision.
What's your thought process on around that one?
Well, I think when you feel or you believe that you have all the answers, I think that's when you stunt your growth. You stunt your ability or opportunity to elevate not only yourself, but I also think others around you. In our case or my case, well, it doesn't matter. It could be family, it could be companies, business teams, etc. I think if you continue to stay in those moments of growth, those moments of I don't know everything, I want to continue to better myself by learning from this podcast, learning from others. I think it just brings such a wealth of knowledge because there's so many different ways to become successful. And I think when you think you have arrived, that's when you stop growing. That's when you become stagnant. That's when you become complacent. So I think it's exciting that we're in a space that we're always searching to get again, just a little bit better. And I think allowing yourself to have an open mind to making good decisions comes from learning and growing and researching, and also being open and being accepting to maybe my way is not the right way. Maybe Jeff's way is a better way. So let me make a better decision, not only to elevate me, but it also can elevate the people around me.
Oh, that's gold. And I heard one time is that if you go into every conversation or dialogue or, what's the word? Anyways, any of those things where Q could change my mind around this topic, debate, that you go into it with that open mind of like, you know what, I'm going to be so neutral that the information that Q shares with me could change my position on it. And if it doesn't, that's fine. But having that open mind, that position of I'm going to receive everything he has to say. And if nothing else, now I understand where you're coming from and why you're making the decisions that you're making.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, to your point, it just came up when you hear about this, or that's why the best players are the best players in the world in any sport, because they're open to feedback. They're receptive to coaching. They want the truth, right? Because that allows them to now again, okay, let me pivot right here. Maybe I'm not doing something that I need to be doing to get me to this place. So having that open mind and accepting feedback, accepting constructive criticism. I've heard this from a good friend of mine, Phil Beckner, and he uses it and it always resonates with me because he says, I don't want nothing from you, but I want everything for you. When you tell a young man or a young lady that, um, it resonates differently because they know there's nothing in it for you if you're just pouring into them so they can become the best version of themselves. And when you develop that relationship, to me, that statement right there is super powerful.
Imagine if the world thought that way. Just how wonderful it would be. I heard something else along those same lines is we have to be contributors and not consumers.
Ooh, you mind? I'm going to write that one
Take
down.
it. And I wish I could give credit to whoever, it was one of the podcasts that I had heard. And it was just it had so much impact on me because you think about in life, we're consumers so much. So it's for me. So using your description, it's for me. But if I say it's for you, I'm contributing back to the world. And if we just find areas that we can contribute, because we have to consume, just like we have to fill our own cup, but where are we going to contribute today to make the world a better place?
Yeah. And to your point, Jeff, you can do both. You can do both, and pouring into both I think not only elevates you, but it goes again, it elevates the world around us, one person at a time. I love that. And, wisdom is borrowed. Wisdom is shared. So what we're discussing and talking about goes way, 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 way back, way back. So we're just now understanding a little bit better, and we're just now using it in a platform now that we can continue to bring life to it, right? Because again, I love that term of being contributors, not consumers. But I think if we can continue to be more of a contributor, it elevates you, but it also elevates everyone around you.
Yeah. And it speaks volumes to the culture that you've helped create on your team and your family. Of you live that contributor role of how do I help other people feel good about themselves and help them level up their game.
Yes. Jeff, I've been incredibly fortunate and truthfully a bit spoiled to, work alongside and with, in my mind, and I've said it all the time that, Bill is the greatest team builder, culture architect, relation developer in all of sports. And I say that because, he understands. I'll say this: if you want a master class on how to lead people, how to grow people, how to build belief in people, you just got to watch the way he just uplifts everyone around him through his coaching and his teaching methods. And what he's taught me here in the last 12 years, it wasn't about just how to win basketball games, but more importantly, how to win people from the ground up.
For sure. For sure. And then it creates a legacy that goes on beyond him and the program. It goes into life, and it just compounds. Okay.
Absolutely.
So next question. This is a fun one. Now I know you're a health guy, so this one will be interesting to see how you answer it. So would you rather have pizza or tacos?
Tacos. Oof.
Are you holding fast to that answer?
I'm holding fast, and I'm not deciding on how many carbs are in one or the other. Corn or flour?
It's your call. I was going to ask you what do you pick?
Cauliflower crust or regular crust? No, to answer your question, I'm going to go, being the New York guy that I am, I'm going to go with pizza.
Okay. Fair enough. What toppings?
I'm really simple. And I go back, I'm old school pizza. So when I walk into a pizza spot back in New York, you just say, hey, can I get a slice? And when you grow up, that's understandable. It's like, they know exactly what that is. Now, if you say a slice, they'll go, what you want? You want pepperonis, you want sausage, you want veggies and all that stuff. I said, no, just a slice. So I grew up in that space. Now I know there's so many different ingredients that go on to the pizza now, but I would just say with a strictly slice, which means that it's straight cheese.
Okay. Now, do you have a favorite nostalgic place that you would go get a slice from?
It's always on the corner. So, you're walking in New York. I don't have a particular place, right? But you just go to a corner, whether it be in your neighborhood, whether it be, in Manhattan. New York is known for their pizza. So I don't really particularly have one spot that I can say I go to all the time. But if there's a spot on the corner, it's a pizza place, I'm definitely going to dive in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. And the last question is, if you came with a warning label, what would it say?
If I came with a warning label, what would it say? The warning label would say, go after every basketball with two hands. If not, you're probably going to get run over.
Ooh, now explain that for those who may not be basketball people, how that relates to life.
How it relates to life is go after everything within a persistent, aggressive mindset, because that basketball, right, is the end goal to whatever it is. So if you go after it with one hand, or if you go after it passively, or if you flinch or you hesitate, more than likely that opportunity is going to be somebody else's, because they're going to have the mindset that I just shared with you that may cost you something that you really, really wanted. So if there's something out there that you want, go after it aggressively and go after it with two hands.
I like that. I have not heard that. And when you were talking, it's the lukewarm challenge or the on the fence challenge. Either you're going for it or not. And like you said, is that the visual with two hands, you've had to let go of everything and you're reaching and you're going for it.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
I like that. That's really good. Well, audience, again, like I said, this is Fred Quartlebaum. He's a husband, a father, a coach, an author, an all-around amazing guy. And he comes to the show because I know that he has wisdom to share. And if you have a chance, you need to follow him on Instagram. We'll have everything in the show notes, because he has the positivity poll that he puts up on a regular basis, which will share a lot of his wisdom. And, you know, Q, I started this show now back in 2023. So we're going on the third year. And I did it because I want people to understand that greatness is out there for everyone, and because it has a different definition for everyone. And ultimately, everybody's pathway is different, none of which is a straight line. You can share a lot about life is not a straight line. And so ultimately, I wanted to have people like you share tactics and strategies of how people can approach their life like we already have. And ultimately, I don't want people to give up. I want them to go after greatness with two hands and to go all in and just to continue to be aggressive about life. And that's what, when you shared that, it filled my heart with joy and excitement to think about going after life with two hands. So with all that being said, Q, what would you say your definition of greatness is?
I think there are a lot of ways we can look at it, but I think to really get down to it, I think greatness is about leaving something better than you found it, right? Because those acts, and more than likely they're going to be selfless acts, that builds a legacy and meaningful impact, right? We look at greatness internally, but I think if you look at greatness outwardly, it's, how did I leave it better than I found it? And to me, that's the most gratifying thing that we can do in terms of leaving a legacy. I've been fortunate to be a part of something that we all strive for as college coaches, and that's winning a national championship. It doesn't happen a lot. The percentage of coaches getting there is very, very minimal. That's how challenging and competitive that is. But I will share this. They fade. Winning fades. Championships fade. But what stays with you throughout your experiences are those intentional relationships and connections that mean more than anything. So yes, we want to chase that end goal, whatever that may be, but along the way, greatness is about helping others reach their potential, developing meaningful relationships and contacts throughout your journey, which lasts a long time. To me, that's the definition of greatness.
Man, that's beautiful. And when you were talking through that, it goes back to what we shared earlier contributor or consumer.
Mm.
You want to leave something better than how you found it, you have to contribute. You have to do something. And the visual that came to my mind was picking up trash when you're walking down the sidewalk, is that you can leave it there and that's fine. You didn't put it there. But if you really want to be a contributor to your neighborhood looking pretty, what do you need to do? Pick up the trash. It's one piece of trash. But what you had said before that had an impact is, imagine if somebody's on the corner and they look over and they see me walk by a piece of trash, pick it up and walk it and throw it away in the garbage. That can have a positive impact. So back to what you had said as legacy is, now they may change when they're walking the rest of the way down the sidewalk and they see a piece of trash and like, you know what, I just saw this guy pick up a piece of trash. Let me pick it up. And that's how things can continue to develop. And that's how legacy is left. And you don't even know that happened.
Yeah. What do they call that? The compound effect, right? It just, things just kind of snowball. And again, it's one person at a time. And Jeff, if it's the simplest thing, but for most people, not all people, but things like it can be the hardest thing. And when we just take time to, again, get out of your own way, right? Get out of you, and you picking up that small piece of trash, right? To your point, it allows others to kind of reflect and go, you know what? Goes back. It's the right choice, right? It's the right thing to do, which you said earlier.
Yeah. And then again, I don't want the audience to gloss over what you may have just shared, is that you said the simplest things are the hardest things, mm-hmm. which then if you were to rewind the episode and go back to the beginning, and we talked about what was the most important, the little things, yes. Paying attention to the little things, those are the most difficult. The big things, picking up the big crystal trophy, easy. It has its own issues, but touching the line on gassers,
yes,
making 100 shots when nobody's looking, tough. Tying your shoes right, like all those little things, that's the most difficult for me because they're so easy to overlook. So with that is Q, how do you help young people and anyone that you speak to of focusing in on doing the little things well and not cutting corners?
Sure. Well, I think I actually live my life to the culture of Kansas basketball. And I'll just share 3 things that I think can be super helpful. And they're really, again, they're not trivial. And I'll explain each and every one in a second. But I think you have to have at least 3 non-negotiables, whatever they may be. And the challenge of our 3 non-negotiables is staying committed to it, right? And making time for it, to grow in it, right? And bring others along for the journey. So the 3 non-negotiables for Kansas basketball, and I'll say my life as well, is one is showing up. But when I talk about showing up, I mean showing up to be fully present, to work and grow every single day, because that's how successful people operate. They live by their commitments. They don't live by their feelings. Successful people do. Because if they do that and live by their feelings, they're only going to be inspired when it's convenient for them. So we talk about, keeping inconvenient commitments, doing things like you said earlier, making 100 shots while nobody's watching, picking up trash when nobody's watching. That is showing up. right? Because a lot of your showing up is not going to be seen through the external world, but it's more internal. And how you show up will allow you and allow others around you to grow in those spaces. And it's easy to show up when things are going well. It's easy to show up when you have success. It's easy to show up when you're winning. But when things aren't going well, or you lose a game, or whatever it may be, that's the most important time that we need you to show up. That's why it becomes a non-negotiable. So people out there, think about that. Think about what showing up looks for you. And the most important things I mentioned before, it's not so much when things are going well, it's more importantly to show up during inconvenient moments. The second one I would share is ownership. You know, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have shortcomings. And when you own up to those moments, right, it just allows you to grow because, again, successful people take responsibility. And we need to tell ourselves that in order for us to grow, ownership is a part of it. Being a caretaker, or to your point, a contributor, you have to own up, to those moments, because it's going to also shape the next person or the next team that comes after you, right? So it's important that you show up. For us, when you wear the KU brand, it's bigger than you, right? It's much bigger than you. So your impact, what you do on the day-to-day basis, impacts the Jayhawk. So when you understand that, it means a little bit more. That's why ownership is important. And the last thing I would share is experiences. And what I mean by that is, come to your work environment, come to a practice, not only to improve and add value to yourself, but more importantly, add value and uplift others, right? Bring someone along the journey with you. So when you walk into practice, how did you make someone better today? What did you do to encourage a teammate? How did you engage? How did you uplift a teammate? Now, when you have that compound effect, when you have everyone in that space, it's not about me, it's about others. And it's about bringing someone along for the journey. So not only are you competing with a teammate, but you're also completing a teammate. And those three things, Jeff, are non-negotiables. But it's also important that you bring that type of energy every single day. And that's the challenge. It goes back, how do you keep student athletes, as well as your coaches, as well as your support staff, engaged in those spaces, especially you said earlier that success is not linear, right? It's going to take curves, and it's going to be a lot of different things that are going to come at you as you climb, to get to that outcome. But we believe if you bring those three things every single day, our chances of being successful are a lot greater. But if you don't show up, you don't take ownership, and you don't bring energy and add value to others, you got no chance.
Well said. And when you have those three non-negotiables, I'm curious because it's easy to write those down and get excited about them.
Yep.
How do you help people be accountable for the non-negotiables on a daily basis? Because I'm thinking that as an audience member, I'm excited to hear this. I'm probably going to be motivated to sit down with a piece of paper. All right, what are my three non-negotiables? And it's great. But then life gets in the way. So how do you help people keep that alive?
Well, I think it starts to, for for the world that I'm in right now, because obviously it's a high, stake environment. It's a bottom line environment. We all know that, right? So it starts, again, I said earlier, it starts with your people. And what I mean in that, it starts with your players. It starts with your coaches. It starts with your support staff. The foundation starts at the bottom, right? So if we want to be the most connected, caring, committed, competitive team, well, then it all starts with our people. And then it works itself up, right? And I use a term, a pyramid is actually right behind me, but I talk about people to purpose, to process, to performance. We want to live in those spaces. We really want to live in these spaces. Your people, your purpose, and your process. We feel that if you are faithful to all those three things, then the results will take care of themselves. So the challenge is, how do we build our people? And here, when our players first arrive on campus for summer school, weights, on-court performance, we also have culture classes. We're intentional about that. So we actually have a 8-week summer culture class to talk about our values, to talk about our expectations, to talk about our vision, right? Because there are those that have come before them that as they understand it. So now we bring our newcomers in to kind of really start it as if they don't know anything. And when you have returning players that can foster and promote and talk about what it means to show up here, what it means to take ownership and creating great experiences and add value to others, it just becomes a compound effect. So I use the term, and this is important, if you want to have a strong culture, you have to do 3 things every day. You have to discuss it, you have to drive it, and you have to defend it every single day. So when I talk about summer classes, that's why it's important. We have culture meetings throughout the course of the year. Throughout the year, whether we went on a 7-0, 7-game winning streak, or we lost 3 in a row, we're going to have culture classes. We have culture notebooks, right? Should have mine. Here's mine. We have notebooks. So all our players get these. And whether it be handouts, whatever it may be. So we're constantly pushing our culture because, again, it's the right thing to do, right? And we talk about the different things that go into alignment, that goes into promoting growth, to adding value. And we have terminology here. So we actually talk our terminology in the office, Jeff. We talk our terminology in the court. We talk our terminology in practice. So we're constantly driving it every single day. And what we found out, Jeff, is that our guys like it. They actually enjoy it because what it does is, it brings everybody together. Everyone has a voice. Whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, whether you're a manager, everybody has a handprint on the culture of Kansas basketball. We also give our players, we're dialed in. Oh, here it is. All our players have this culture card in their wallets, okay? And we use this. We talk about this is your compass. So when things aren't going well for you, pull this out. Pull this out to get you back to center and go back to your vision. Go back to your expectations, right? And it's not just about championships. Our culture is about also growing as people. So that's kind of one of a few things that we do here at Kansas to continue to promote our values and our cultures every day. Because it can't just be things that are just on the wall, right? No, you have to live it, and you live it by actions. And working alongside Bill, he believes in this. He's bought into it. So it starts from Coach Self, our leader, all the way down to our managers?
I love it. If I wasn't attached to these headphones, I'd be dancing. And I wanted to say amen and stand up and put my hands in the air, because there's so much goodness in everything that you said. And it goes back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast. It's the simple things that make the biggest impact. What you shared, discuss it, drive it, defend it, are not complicated tactics to build a great culture. But it's very difficult to do that on a daily basis. The other thing that I want the audience to really pay attention to, what Q said, was the fact that he and this team and the coaching staff laid out clear expectations. There are no surprises. Everyone is measured with the same measuring stick. And that's hard in life, because that is not true in the world. Everybody seems to have a different definition of what an inch is. And when you have clear non-negotiables with a book, I love the idea of an 8-week culture class, that they hear it, they believe it, they see it. And the one other thing that I want the audience to pay attention to what you said, is that the coaching staff lives it every day. They're held to the same standard, coming from Coach Self all the way down to the managers. So there's consistency, there's clear, driven vision to what this is supposed to look like. So I'll challenge everyone with your family. Do you have similar parameters set up? Do you have clear expectations for your kids, for your spouse, for yourself, that you discuss it, you drive it, and then defend it? That's the other part, is when someone comes in and starts to challenge it, if you don't defend that thing, it is going to unravel and spin off into space.
Jeff, that's so powerful. It just brings back a few times, but one in particular, I was not having a energetic day. I came to practice. I was on the sideline, and my mind may have been somewhere else. It was not where it needed to be. I was not present. And we talk about the power of accountability and the power of our culture. And you use the word defend it. Jalen Wilson now plays for the Brooklyn Nets, and the NBA is in great hands. The future of the NBA is in great hands because of men like Jalen Wilson. But I'm on the sideline as a coach, and just wasn't locked. I wasn't locked in. Another culture work. He comes right over to me, goes, Coach Q, yo, hey, you're not locked in right now. I don't feel you today. You gotta get out. Whatever's going on with you, either go back upstairs in your office, or you got to bring the energy. And man, that hits so. It felt so good that you know that what you're doing every single day matters, and they are totally aligned and supportive and understand ownership, and not afraid to not so much call you out, but to call you up. And that moment right there was so powerful that, you know what? It's trickling down, the compound effect. And we allow our players to hold coaches accountable too. So case in point, hey coach, you're not showing up right now. You're not bringing experiences that we need right now. And you know what I did? Say, well, you're right. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Changed my whole outlook on practice. When I reflect on that moment, that's when you know it's working. And make a long story short, when you have players like that, pushing the culture, driving the culture, defending the culture, you do special things. And that was a magical year that we were fortunate to, win a national championship because of young men like Jalen Wilson.
And what's so special about that is that, again, the culture was created so much so that a player could challenge a coach. As you well know, there's plenty of programs that would never happen, because that kid would be gone. Absolutely. Or something bad would have happened. The other thing that I want to draw everybody's attention to is this culture has been created to help correct one another, not judge one another. It wasn't, that player going back and talking to the other team, like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Coach Q. He's just not acting right, and saying everything over here, which doesn't help you at all. And it just creates this spiral of negativity that could go when he was truly concerned and thinking, okay, this isn't the normal guy that shows up for practice. He either needs to bring it or he's got to deal with it. And just you telling the story, you could tell it was a place of correcting your attitude, not judging your attitude. And I feel that that's such a powerful place to be, that if we all had that, it's not, it's like, you know what, you're not showing up like you normally are. What's the matter? It's that place of compassion and trying to understand versus, you know what, take it to the side, or whatever it may be. Or if your boss held it back and never told you, like, yeah, I'm just seeing that you're not showing up lately, and so I'm going to put you on a report, or whatever it may be, versus try to dig in and see what's going on.
Yeah. Jeff, it was so intentional. And again, when you're all striving for something that could be magical, to be special, you're going to go through those type of moments, and you need those type of moments again to grow. Because you said earlier, if you don't defend the attitude that we need in order to move forward in the right way, that's when little cracks come into your culture, which turn into holes, which turns into floods. And all of a sudden now you're trying to get all the water out the boat. But by that time, you're halfway underwater. So the little things matter. When you see something that's not aligned to our culture, you need to step up, and we invite that type of conversation, I don't want to say confrontation, but we invite those spaces where it allows everyone to have a voice, because we all want the same thing, right? And again, it's not to call you out, it's to call you up, which allows us to elevate and rise up. So that's why the culture classes are so important, because it's during a time where things are kind of relaxed, right? But I think you have the focus and you have the concentration, and then you also allow your returning players to give you examples, to give the newcomers examples, what adding value, what showing up is. One of the things that we do, and we kind of, again, wisdom is shared is borrowed. But I know the Phoenix Suns, when Steve Nash was there doing practice and games, but for us, we do a practice. We have a manager who just counts connections, and those connections could be high fives, chest bumps. It could be a coaching moment between the player to player. We actually accumulate points for that. In this past year, we had over 32,000 connections in practice. And we're talking about guys that are playing at the highest level at Kansas, the NBA, etc. But we're talking about connections and experiences. So those little things matter. And we also believe not only are you becoming a better player, but more importantly, you're becoming a better teammate.
You're creating a legacy where now that he's in the NBA and the other players that have gone on, whether it's the NBA or just corporate life or whatever they're doing after basketball, they're taking that with them. They're going to have the same expectations, the same drive, the same defend of that culture, because it had such a positive effect on them, that it will now continue to be that Venn diagram that's like over your shoulder, is that it crosses over. Their time in Kansas may have been small, but look at all these other places that is impacting the rest of the world in their lives.
Sure. Yeah. Again, this is it's a winning program, but I also think it's a learning program. You're learning how to become better in so many different areas in your life. And we have a Coach Self who believes in that we're going to we're going to strive to be champions, but not only on the court, but we're going to strive to be champions in our personal lives. We're going to strive to be champions in the classroom. We're going to strive to be champions in the community. And we have the data to prove that, because again, if that's what we want to become, then we have to be actionable and take the right steps to get us a little closer to what our goals are and for our future, not only at Kansas, but beyond Allen Fieldhouse.
And that's what's important, is you can't be selfish with that information and that knowledge. You have to be able to defend it with others. And I had a mentor and a boss that he talked about that culture is what you, and he said culture about a company is what you say when you sit next to somebody on an airplane and they ask you where you work.
Yes. Ooh.
It's whatever your players say about Kansas is the culture. You can have all the boards, you can have all the great notebooks and culture classes, but if they leave and they don't resonate and it doesn't impact them so much so where they go, oh, how much time do you got? Let me tell you about Kansas basketball. That's the thing that you want people to understand. And again, I want to relate that to my audience of your family. And when your family culture is whatever people say when you're not around. And I want to have a championship culture in the sense that I've been able to discuss it, drive it, and defend it at all costs. So much so when my kids and my wife go other places, they're able to share what our culture is within this house.
Yeah, Jeff, so powerful. Good culture, to your point, is again, a lot around pictures. You named it, all the things that we do here. But the difference is when you get your players or you get your family or co-workers, colleagues, not only you're talking it, but when they feel it, see, that's different. You gotta feel it and be excited about it. That's when I think it starts to really resonate, the pride behind it, right? Not worrying about the finish line, but you know what? What we're doing day to day is improving our lives, is improving our families' lives. And it's the most simplest things. But if we all took moments to reflect on the simplest things, it will allow so much growth in that space that will continue to take shape way beyond our years. But it's the simplest things. And then we said earlier, sometimes the simplest things can become the hardest things because we allow maybe external forces or distractions or outside noise to take away the time that we need to improve ourselves and improve others around us. So I would share with anyone, whatever your morning looks like, meditation, workout, whatever it may be, but ask yourself, how can I improve the lives of others? It's all you. I ask myself every day, how can I improve the lives of others today? And that reflects your family, yourself, your colleagues, friends, etc. To me, again, that's what defines greatness, and that's how you leave a legacy.
Thank you. I was going to ask you if you had anything you wanted to leave with the audience. That was really good, but I'll ask you anyways. Is there anything else?
Well, I think that's what, this is all the things we talked about. Again, I'm not a baseball player, and I'm not really a golfer either, even though I like both, but I understand how you are successful. I think I have an idea, and I kind of use these analogies. Baseball, just hit singles, because when you hit singles, you advance runners, right? You not only you're getting on base, but you're advancing your teammates, right? So every day, just think about hitting singles, and then when opportunity presents itself to put one out, yard, you go yard, it'll happen. But just continue to do the small things. In golf, I realize this a lot. I can hit the ball pretty far, but pretty far is always in the other fairway, right? So then I think about, okay, how do golfers score? How do they put points up there? You know what? Just keep it in the fairway. Practice chipping and putting. Don't worry about trying to swing as hard as you can. No, just gradually be consistent. Keep it in the fairway. Work on your chipping and work on your putting. That's how you move. So I use that in training, whatever it is. Just hit singles. Just keep it in the fairway. Do that every single time. You'll see you'll advance a lot quicker. Because going from one fairway to the other, that's a long walk, by the way.
Yeah, I have a terrible slice, so I totally get it. If I could get it straight, I'd drive the green every time, but it turns quick.
Yeah. But whatever it is, again, we talked about our culture, your culture, or just the day-to-day, just three things. And again, just really live it every single day and be accountable to it. And again, I think the three things we talked about, drive whatever it is every day. Discuss it with Jeff, with yourself every day, and defend it every day, especially when things aren't going the way you think they should be going. Defend what's right and make the right choice.
Amen. That'll preach. Well, Q, how can people find and follow you?
I'm on social media. My platform on Twitter is FQ212, at FQ212. And on Instagram, I'm at QFit, FIT 50. I'm going to have to change that because I'm getting closer to 60 now in 2 years.
Oh, just hang on to it.
I'm hanging on. I'm hanging in there. But I love to hear from you all. I love for you all to share. Again, not only that part of my growth is learning from others. So if you have anything to share on culture, how you all do things to help me, to help our team, to help us become the best version of ourselves, we're open here at Kansas.
Yep. And I will echo that he is very receptive and eager and has lots to share as well. If you ask, he's one of the most humble people that I've met and has an immense amount of wisdom and positivity. And he's just great. I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate you having me on. And I look forward to future conversations as well.
Yeah, for sure. We'll hang on just a little bit after we're done. But ladies and gentlemen, Fred Quartlebaum.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on the Pathways to Greatness podcast. We hope that today's conversation inspired you to take steps towards your own greatness. Remember, every journey starts with a single step. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might benefit. Actually, share it with 3 people that you might think it might benefit. Until next time, keep pursuing your passions and carving your own path to greatness. Take care.